Whatever's good.
I can say.
Whatever what you like is fine with us.
I can see that good.
That shows up.
Better with or without? That's fine.
It's better.
I'll call this travel tourism meeting to order. This time.
Bobby's coming. What are you doing?
I'll turn it over.
Yeah, I didn't know if Teresa had anything to say or not.
Have you got something you need to say?
Oh, well, this is a project I've been involved with since the beginning, and I've been to, I think, almost all the meetings, and had been participating and giving input. And I've taken a couple of people. I've taken Jackie once, I think, went to one of the meetings. So, and it's a plan that, you know, I think overall is pretty good, and I think it'll at least give us the same page to be working off of, so that all the TDAs, the Graham County 1, Robbinsville, Santeetla, and Fontana can all at least be collaborating to work out or towards certain goals. So I'm really excited to have Chris here to do the presentation, and thanks to you guys for coming too. And so I'll just turn it over to you so you can get started.
Well, I was going to do a little kind of an introduction here, if that's okay. Kind of recognize the key participants in the project. And of course, we always want to recognize the funding source. The funding source was the Appalachian Regional Commission, and we were able to secure a $10,000 grant to begin this project about 8 months ago. So we began the project, I think, in November was our first meeting, and with an ARC grant comes a requirement for a 20% match. The 20% match is the least amount. Our county is a distressed county in the Appalachian Regional Commission service area, so we were required to match that 20%. And thanks to Graham County TNT, the town of Santeetla, the town of Fontana, and a great organization, we were able to secure that match. And of course, the participants in the process is something that I'm really proud of. We had 6 public meetings throughout the process and invited all folks. The meetings were advertised in the Graham Star. There were email blasts that were sent out by various agencies encouraging people to participate. So we had a lot of public involvement in the construction and the development of the tourism plan. In addition, there was a survey that was completed by almost, I think it was 279 participants, including Graham County residents, including non-Graham County residents. Those types of information were used in developing the plan. The key part of the plan was a component that was realized from the input of the citizens in Graham County at those 6 public meetings. We had representatives, as Teresa indicated, from all the towns. We had representatives from the county at the meetings. And of course, this is a project of the great organization through its great Tourism and Mountain Culture Committee. Special recognition to Beth Fields, who is the Executive Director of Sequoia Valley Center and the Chair of the great Tourism and Mountain Culture Committee, to Tabitha Myler, who the Director of Graham County TNT, and also to Chris in being our consultant with Magellan Strategy Group in putting this plan together and compiling the results. Just a little timeline of the project. I think it's important for us all to understand how this came about. It didn't happen overnight, and it's not a new idea at all. The idea of a tourism plan has been around for almost 10 years. And the initial concept of a tourism plan that I'm aware of was first recognized in the Great Strategic Plan that was developed in 2005 and adopted in 2006. And in that particular plan, it called for the great organization to develop a tourism plan for Graham County. And The plan was revised in 2013, and that concept was carried on through the Tourism Committee to support the development of a tourism plan. And that's what the great organization has done, is support the development of this plan through providing in-kind contributions, to providing some expertise in grant writing to secure the funding for this particular plan. The second suggestion of a tourism plan, and Jackie and Bobby and Jan, y'all were involved in this, was when we were working with the NC, and Lisa, with the NC STEP program in the revitalization for the town of Robbinsville and the development of the Reimagining Robbinsville document. The number one recommendation in that document was to promote tourism in the county. The third tourism plan activity occurred in 2013 when the Great Tourism and Mountain Culture Committee worked with East Carolina University to conduct a visitor profile study for Graham County. That was about a 5-6 month process where that different statistics and information was gathered for folks that, come on in, that were visitors here in Graham County. And then, of course, most of you were involved in different ways in the opt-in process. One of the key things of the Graham County Comprehensive Plan, and one of the areas that received the highest number of votes, was the development of the tourism plan for Graham County. And then the final initiative happened in January of 2014 when a group of a team of 5 went to, where was it in Kentucky?
Abington, Virginia.
Abington, oh, excuse me.
It wasn't in Kentucky.
Yeah. One state over. So Tabitha was involved, Teresa was involved, I was involved, Beth was involved. We had a representative from the Forest Service that was involved in that process. And the team was charged during this workshop to develop a project that they would take back to the county and implement. Our team chose the development of a strategic tourism plan. So this is kind of what we're seeing as a result of that particular workshop. So here we are, 10 years later, after the concept was kind of introduced, and you have in your possession what I think is an excellent beginning for a tourism plan with recommendations and strategies on how to achieve this. And remember, this is a 10-year plan. Some of the things can be implemented fairly soon. However, some of them will require that 10-year time to develop and implement. So that's kind of the history of the tourism plan. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Chris Cavanaugh, who is with the Magellan Strategy Group. He's become very, very familiar with Graham County, and he's a promoter of Graham County, and he realizes the assets and the potential that this county has in bringing tourists and bringing their dollars into here. Because tourism, whether we believe it or not, tourism is or will become the #1 economic engine for Graham County. I think it probably already is. But anyway, Chris, there you go. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for being here. I greatly appreciate your time. I have the difficult slot of going after lunch and also being in a dark room. So please try not to fall asleep. If you do, get up and walk around. Stand over here.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I can say one thing that's been very interesting for the past 2 to 3 weeks down at the visitor center. I was just sharing with Kathy, I really can report this for the past 3 weeks. We have had a lot of folks come in lately that have said this statement. Now y'all brace yourselves. There is so much to see and do here, we're going to have to stay an extra night.
Oh, that's
That's good
wonderful.
news.
That's good.
And they're like, we really wanted to go see Cherokee, but there's just so much to see and do here that we're going to have to stay an extra night. And I'm like, you know, that's music to my ears. So, yeah, there's been a lot. I know at least 3 times for the past 3 weeks we've had people say that on 3 separate occasions. So that's just fantastic news for all of us.
Definitely.
And what do you think's caused it? I mean,
Well, for me personally, when they come into the visitor center, if I hit them on day 1 or 2, they're going to already feel that way. Because I'm like, well, have you been here before? And if it's a no, if it's a new person, just the itinerary and the weekend itinerary, which you can do any 3 days, and the history itinerary, those 2 things alone knock a lot of stuff out, and they're just like, there is no way we're going to be able to see and do all this. So that's been
That's good.
part of it. It's helped.
All right, we're just going to go ahead and run it from here, if that's okay. So, a couple of key points here. In doing any plan of this nature, where you have a very large entity, an entire county, you really have to divide things into 3 buckets. There are those things that we can mostly control, such as tourism policy making, destination marketing, which is the charge of the tourism development authorities, and tourism funding. Then there are those things that we can influence, tourism product development, other types of local economic development, and the visitor experience, and then things we can't easily control, which would be external environmental factors, the economy, weather, what Raleigh does, you know, so any number of different things that we potentially can't control. Rick's already referred a little bit to this in terms of the different elements that went into this. In addition to the stakeholder surveys, the 6 public workshops, there was the East Carolina University research that was done a couple of years ago, and then any available data, either at the state level or at the county level. Just a reminder too, Rick mentioned this is a 10-year plan, and there's going to be a lot of things that we can't anticipate in the next 10 years. And so to quote one of my favorite mentors, a guy named Peter Drucker, who was a management thinking guru, his definition of a strategy is a plan around which to improvise. And so there are going to be all kinds of opportunities and challenges that we can't anticipate that you'll have to take advantage of or respond to over the next 10 years. There were really 6 objectives of this plan. To increase overnight and day trip visitation to the county, generate more tourism-related revenues, to increase tourism-related employment in the county, provide more small business opportunities, increase the local tax base, and maximize travel and tourism and sustainable recreation opportunities as core contributors to business growth here in the county and to quality of life, while certainly continuing to protect the cultural and natural resources that make this a very special place. So, as we look at the opportunities here, there were really 5 opportunities that I think Graham County is well positioned to take advantage of over the next 10 years. First, the millennial generation, which is those people who were born between 1979 and 1999, are actually beginning to outspend those of us who are in the baby boomer generation, those people born after World War II and up till the early 60s. And that's happening in a lot of parts of the country. And so as we begin to think how we're going to position Graham County as a destination, we need to begin thinking what do we need to do to appeal to that millennial generation as well as the boomers who are going to continue to spend money and time traveling. This is truly one of the last undiscovered places in Appalachians. Over the last 20 to 30 years we've seen an awful lot of places in the southern mountains which have been discovered and in some cases spoiled. You have an extraordinary wealth of natural and scenic assets. The southeastern U.S. continues to grow in population. You've got millions of people within an easy day's drive of here. And there are more ways to connect with your potential visitors than ever before. You don't have to have a huge budget to make a difference, although having a huge budget helps also. So there were also in the plan 10 strategic aspirations included here. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but these were sort of guiding principles, if you will, for the plan. And all of the things here are things that we need to continue to do regardless of which parts of the plan get implemented. And hopefully all parts of the plan will allow these things to occur. Ultimately, as number 10 says, improving the quality of life for all of the residents. You're doing this to provide opportunities for you, the residents, as well as providing a great visitor experience. So there were 5 strategic challenges identified throughout this. Now, we've got a lot of different feedback. And I think they can be grouped into these 5 challenges. The first is just lack of opportunities for visitor spending. And one of the best ways of looking at this is to look at the data that the state of North Carolina's Travel and Tourism Division provides each year. They do a study for all 100 counties in North Carolina that shows visitor expenditures each year, the amount of jobs directly related to tourism, the amount of jobs that are, or the amount of payroll that's related to tourism, and then the state and local tax receipts generated by visitor spending activity in the county. And for 2013, which was the most recent year data available until last week when the state released the 2014 data, Graham County ranked 79th out of 100 counties in terms of visitor expenditures. And that was 19th out of all 23 North Carolina mountain counties. So 19 out of 23 counties in 2013 in terms of visitor expenditures. And that's really probably the key number here to look at. In terms of growth in visitor spending, from 1991, which was the first year that they started tracking this number, to 2013, which I said was the most recent year available until the end of last week. In 1991, visitors were spending $10.6 million in spending. In 2013, they had grown to almost $25 million. And that percentage, in terms of percentage change, that's a 134% increase. Not surprisingly, Swain County and Jackson County, because of the casino obviously, were number 1 and 2 in the 23 mountain counties, and number 2 and 5 across the entire state for that entire period of time, that 22 years. What's concerning though is in 2000, if you look at the period just from 2000 to 2013, so this century basically, in 2000, Graham County's spending visitor spending was $19.38 million. It had grown to almost $25 million in 2013, that top line there, which was a change of 28%. That 28%, if you look at that, how it compares to other counties across the state, that ranks Graham County 95th in terms of percentage growth, 95th out of 100 counties. And if you look at where that compares to other mountain counties, it ranks 21 out of 23 mountain counties, that's 28%. And if you look at the very bottom, that first asterisk, the rate of inflation for that same period was 35%. So we're not keeping up even with the rate of inflation. Not surprisingly, again, big numbers in Swain and Jackson County due to the opening of Harrah's Casino. But if you look even at the other, some of the other nearby counties, Cherokee, Clay, and Macon, they've all had a faster growth in visitor spending during those 13 and 14 years. So how are we going to address lack of opportunities for visitor spending? One is to extend the average length of visit to the county among visitors, what Tabitha was talking about, and provide visitors with more spending opportunities. We need to increase overnight visitation. Overnight visitation is the fastest way to increase the amount of money that people spend. generally when you go on vacation or you go for a weekend getaway, you spend more money on your lodging than you do just about anything else. And so there are a number of, I'm not going to go into all these tactics, but you have a couple of really good things going for you. One, you have a diversity of lodging. You've got everything from traditional motels to a lot of rental homes on the lake. That's something that a lot of counties don't have. And of course, with more people wanting to spend time and money on vacation in rental homes, that's of great interest to a lot of people. So you've got great diversity of lodging. You also have the ability to bundle activities and attractors together. If I'm a birding enthusiast, or I always use Rick as an example of someone who's enthusiastic about trout fishing. If I'm a trout fisherman and I'm coming from Atlanta or from Charlotte, I want to know everything about there is to do about trout fishing. I want to know how many days I can spend here to come and trout fish. If I'm a motorcyclist, I want to know that I can not only come ride here, but I can spend the night here as well. A second tactic is to continue to seek out, stimulate growth in new and existing small businesses through something that's being implemented now in a few destinations, and that's micro-enterprise grants. And I've done some work up in the Adirondack region of New York State, and they've just implemented a program, these two counties, Essex and Hamilton counties, in a region that's very similar to Graham County. The Adirondacks are gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, much like Graham County. It's very sparsely populated, except for the area around Lake Placid, which you may be familiar with. But the Adirondack Commission tightly controls the development of all the land in Adirondack Park. And so they have partnered with the Nature Conservancy, who wants to conserve land. They've partnered with the Nature Conservancy to offer micro-enterprise grants to small businesses who want to provide outdoor recreation opportunities to visitors. They say, you know, if we're going to preserve all this land here, like we want to do as our heritage, then we need to give visitors a way to access it and enjoy it, and we need to provide expertise for that. Dillsboro has also recently implemented a micro-enterprise grant. They're trying to recruit businesses to downtown Dillsboro and offering incentives to businesses to either make physical changes to their businesses or to open up new businesses. Other tactics here, just to highlight a couple of others that are in the plan as far as providing visitors with more spending opportunities. Stokoe is a great asset for the county. It offers overnight activity, which naturally should stimulate an overnight stay. I think there's also opportunities, particularly with both Western and with Tri-County, to do more to offer tourism-based small business programs or entrepreneurship programs. Both Tri-County with the opening of the new casino and hotel in Murphy, and Western, which has new leadership in the last couple of years, are very actively interested in doing more here. Certainly, too, that there are continue to work with non-tourism entities to eliminate barriers to small business success. That's one of the things we heard a lot from in terms of stakeholders is what can we make it, how can we make it easier to do business in the county? The second challenge that we identified is that the county doesn't have a well-defined market image. And there are really two strategies for dealing with this. One is, how can we make people more aware of the uniqueness of this place, that it's different from Swain County and Macon County and Clay County and Cherokee County? How can we, and then how can we communicate the depth and breadth here? One of the things I heard is that you have an awful lot to offer beyond just the scenic beauty and the scenic assets that you have in the destination. So the strategy here is to develop and build upon a true destination brand, something that stands out from all other destinations. It's not just our scenic beauty, because a lot of places that can say that they have scenic beauty. This is something that should serve as a rallying point for everybody involved in tourism, a single, unique, new identity, but it has to resonate with and be relevant to all the target audiences. It has to be something that appeals to all of the people that you're trying to reach. Whenever I talk about a brand too, I like to just remind people what a brand is. It's more than just a logo. It's something that influences what do you say about the county as a destination. Who is it you represent? And it's really that emotional connection that you have with a product, a service, an event, even a person or a place. Orlando and Disney World has an emotional connection for most of us who have small kids and have taken kids there. Las Vegas has a certain emotional connection. New York City has an emotional connection because you know what those things represent. So if you look at what Grand County really does well is, you know, one of the things I heard early on in terms of perceived weakness for the county is also one of its greatest strengths. You have a large amount of land that has been is preserved and managed by the state and federal government. Now, we can argue about the policies involved with that, and some of them are probably unreasonable with regards to the use of that land. But you offer an environment that's rugged, it's unspoiled, the one place that's truly away from it all. And it's not for everyone. Grand County is not for everyone. If you're really into big city living, this is not going to be something you're going to enjoy. But you welcome everyone to come and try it. And I say that Grand County is really the last wild place in North Carolina. Every place else has pretty much been discovered or it's been overrun with new housing developments or commercial activity. And while we do want some of that commercial activity, you have an awful lot of the county that's always going to be preserved. Another thing to raise your profile is what a lot of destinations have done is created a signature festival or event. Think like the Waynesville Ramp Festival over in Haywood County. Other unique festivals that help say something about the county as a destination and help put it on the map as a unique place. You have a very complex county. It's not just scenic assets that you have, but you have an awful lot of things going on here. And as I said before, you don't need a big budget to do things really well. Public relations, going and talking to the media, and the media could be everything from newspapers and television to bloggers now. Do more to promote niche opportunities aggressively to special interest audience. I talked a little bit about that earlier. Revamp the destination website to do more to really sell the county and to get people to stay here overnight. And also just do more online marketing, which is easily trackable. You can see how effective it is. The third of 5 strategic challenges is that you have generally insufficient resources for destination marketing and tourism development, particularly relative to your competition. And so we've got to look for new resources to better market the county. So our thing is to make sure that, one, every entity across the county has an occupancy tax that's at an equivalent level, at a 6% level for each of the 4 entities that are now collecting occupancy tax. Also to make sure that everyone is paying, should be paying occupancy tax. This is a significant issue in some counties right now, particularly in places like Haywood County, which have a lot of rental properties, where, quite frankly, not everyone's paying the occupancy and sales tax. But there also needs to be more collaboration among all the tourism entities in the county. And there's lots of opportunities for doing that. But that's, in general, that's probably one of the biggest themes that emerged out of this is the need for collaboration. Teresa can't do it on her own. Tabitha can't do it on her own. Nobody can do it on their own. You've got to be able to pool your resources much more effectively. Fourth challenge is that there's no real cohesive destination experience. And what do I mean by that? Well, we need to find ways of making it easier for visitors to come here and visit. There needs to be what I call greater connectivity to visitor experiences. And we've got to seek out ways to present a more cohesive visit experience. There's a lot of tactics for this, ranging from working with the DOT to enhance wayfinding signage. The wayfinding signage that's put up by the DOT here in some places is really substandard even compared to other places in North Carolina. And there are real opportunities to work with the DOT to improve that highway signage to get people to the places you want them to go, whether it be the Cherry Hill Skyway, Fontana Village, downtown Robbinsville, any number of different places. there are also other ways of providing connectivity to visitor experiences. We need to find ways to develop visitor itineraries for general interest visitors, to those people who are really into hiking. How can we give them a 3-day itinerary to spend 3 days here hiking? If you're into motorsports, if you're into trout fishing or birding, for instance, to give people specialized itineraries on how they can spend their time here. You also have some unique food and beverage experiences within the county. And I think food and beverage is a real key part of any destination's offering. And whether it's Yellow Branch or honey or any number of other opportunities, you've got some really unique food and beverage experiences here. The first tactic for presenting a more cohesive visit experience, and this is I think one of the big points here of the plan, is ultimately developing a new visitor-friendly welcome center for the entire county. This is something that would showcase all of the county's communities and attractions. It would serve as the central hub of all visitor activity in the county. It could be potentially a generator of traffic here in Robbinsville. It's also an opportunity for, I've seen this in other places, for small businesses to offer outdoor recreation services leaving from that visitor center. Perhaps most importantly, though, it's an opportunity to provide public restrooms. And there's nothing that generates more traffic than public restrooms. It's a necessary component. It also says to visitors that you're welcome. We recognize that you have needs, and we need to pay attention to those. Then finally, the fifth tourism challenge here is a need for a coordinated destination marketing effort. And there's 4 different strategies here, and I'll go into each one of these separately. So the first strategy is to overcome the challenge of having 4 different tourism development authorities. So you've got the county as a tourism authority, the town of Robbinsville has a TDA, Lake Santilla now has a TDA, and Fontana has a TDA. And I recognize that those TDAs aren't going away anytime soon, but I do think that there's a huge opportunity for creating a destination marketing council composed of representatives from each one of those authorities to develop a true formal annual marketing plan for that markets the entire county. This ultimately, you may want to create a single marketing entity. You keep your TDAs, but you create a single marketing entity, such as Convention and Visitor Bureau, which has been done in some other places in North Carolina. It's been done in Boone and Watauga County. They have separate TDAs, but they market themselves jointly. Same thing in Salisbury and Rowan County, 2 separate TDAs, but they also market themselves jointly. They're combined CVB. I think you've got one other strategy here is to promote within the county the benefits of a vibrant tourism economy. Not everyone's going to buy into tourism, okay? I get that, and it's not the savior of a community, but it's one part of a robust economic development strategy. And I think taking people from the county and going and making visits to other places that have faced similar challenges that are nearby, we give you some examples of potential solutions that you could embrace. I think issuing an annual report that details the achievements of the tourism sector, that also publicizes the benefits to the county in terms of economic impact, jobs, and tax revenue. It's something that can be posted online, doesn't even have to be printed. And your investment in marketing can also be a means of generating other economic activity. There's a real tie between traditional economic development and recruitment of new businesses and the promotion of the destination. Next strategy is to recruit more advocates and ambassadors for the tourism sector. And a couple of things there. Graham County does a great job with social media, particularly the Facebook page that you have. And use this as an opportunity to get both local residents and frequent visitors involved in that social media effort. Interview people about where's the best place to go hiking. Get Rick tell visitors on video or in written form where's the best places to go trout fishing. There's also opportunities to communicate more frequently with all the stakeholders about important happenings in the tourism industry, about what's going on at local businesses or expansions, events, and so forth. And then perhaps most importantly is this last strategy, which is supporting the preservation of the county's natural, historic, and cultural assets. I want to be very clear that the tactics that you've seen here and the strategies and tactics that you've seen here in the plan are designed and intended to preserve the county's cultural and natural heritage, not ruin it, but yet bring more visitors to this area. So as the protectors of those assets, it's incumbent upon the stakeholders of tourism in the county to advocate for the growth while also supporting the protection of the assets that you have here, natural, historic, and cultural assets. Yes, we've got to motivate visitation and we've got to generate visitor satisfaction and referrals, but we also have to be mindful of how do we protect this great scenic landscape. The one big, hairy, audacious goal, if you will, for doing this is to double annual visitor spending in 10 years, from $25 million that I showed you earlier to $50 million. And so that would not only double visitor spending, but would also double the economic impact of tourism in Graham County. That's like I said, it's a big, hairy, audacious goal, but I think it can be done, and I think you have to have a real stretch goal to try to achieve. Last slide here is just implementation, a little bit about next steps. This is an effort that, as I mentioned before, it's not going to require the effort of just one person or two people or one board. It's going to require the effort of a lot of people. All the public and private tourism stakeholders in the county will need to get involved in terms of implementation. Certainly GREAT will continue to be involved in the work it does. And the 4 TDAs, the 4 destination marketing organizations, are going to be very important in terms of implementation of this. And I believe that the ideal first next step, if you will, is to create a new brand identity for the county, something that you will use across all of your marketing to market the county and will raise the profile of the county in a significant way going forward. That really distinguishes it from other destinations and serves as a rallying point for everybody in the county. That's something that's relatively easy to do, and yet I think will have a significant impact. Ultimately, as Rick mentioned early, this is a 10-year plan. There are tactics in here that represent quick wins that you can do right away. There are others that are going to take longer. As my good friend Becky Anderson, who used to be at Handmade in America, used to say, we're really good at visioning about things. What we need now are a few good groundbreakings. And ultimately, things like a new visitor center will not only serve a functional purpose, but will also serve as something that people can rally around as a sign of progress. And we think that that's very important as well. So, I'll be happy to take any questions from you at this point. You can
I got a statement if you want to hear that. If Rick tells everybody the best fishing hole, it won't be that best fishing hole long.
Yeah, well, he won't. I know
what
he's
he
not
needs
going
to
to
do
do
is
it.
recommend a business or agency to take them, or let's make some money off of them. Because if you do, they're just going to come in here and go to it and go back out somewhere else next day. Let's get them in here, sink them.
That's one
God.
Keep them, get the dollars. That's the goal, is to get the dollars.
Yeah, and again, the fastest way to do that is to get people to stay an extra
That's
night.
what yeah.
That's another factor too. Since this hunting boy out here has started the tubing.
Yeah.
2-3 days a week this summer, I've seen 5 fans with anywhere from 9 to 12 people on them. They'd come, I'd see them come in in the morning, and about 3:30 every evening, they would head out. They went red light, out of here. They didn't get more stop at McDonald's or Wendy's or nothing. Those drivers, I don't know where they was coming from, but they was 5 of them. It was just zip, zip, zip.
There has to be.
Just like the place was on fire, about like
There
it
has
went.
to be the incentive. And like one of the last things with travel and tourism, we put the swag bag, and the whole point of that was to try and get the Miatas to stay in Graham County and not go to the surrounding counties. So we incentivized with we stuffed it full of a couple of goodies, of course, and then just a ton of coupons. And so, you know, we got some counts back, and we had a pretty good amount for being a first-time effort. So we do have to kind of figure out of grabbing all of our tourism partners and saying, hey, we need to capitalize on this event that's going to be happening and make that incentive for them to want to stay and want to. If you start talking about economics, a lot of people do want to help, but sometimes like they don't know how. So it's that whole thing of trying to find the extra ways of spending the money, showing them how to spend the money, where they can spend their money.
But have they ever thought about, like, you know how you go on vacations instead and get those coupon books?
They just be very expensive for us at first. That's why we're thinking about trying to do that kind of digitally at first instead of the books. Because a lot of people they'll walk in and go, where are your coupon books? And I'm like, well, in Asheville, you know, that's probably the closest place to us that has those, or Gatlinburg. And
well, I know in Knoxville, where Riley goes to school, they sell them through the school. They make them and sell them through the school and let the school get the profit.
Kind of like a win-win card.
Well, yeah, but it's a book. It's actually a coupon book. You know, where you can take the coupon and go to the businesses around, and I mean, anybody can get them. You could sell them. You could sell them down there. You know, for the places to eat, anywhere around. And somebody like the school or anybody could get the benefit from it, you know. But I mean, but they're in Knoxville. They're that big, you know. But I mean, they wouldn't be like that here. But
and I agree with the concept of if they come to our Wild Meat Festival, we ought to have some pamphlets at the Stickwell Valley Center or Fontana Village, or we can all do a better job of helping each other out. If we're going to make the goal of getting the money, keeping them here, spending the money here, we're going to all have to go at it together.
yeah.
And we're going to have to get control of that rafting down there instead of now they have outdoor center controlling it. Because they're not looking out for Graham County one bit. I bet you we made $500 off of it last year, and they probably made $25,000–50,000 off of it, or more.
yeah, it would be nice for NOC to sell their things at Topeka, and the tax collected there going toward Graham County instead of down in the gorge, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're setting them up over there, giving them a raft, they're renting them a raft, all the revenue's going through there. They just bring it up here and using our water and our streams and our roads and everything, and our bathrooms and stuff like that, and going back over there. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, we've got to do a better job of that packaging too, and teach some of the lodging partners how to work with NOC to get a cheaper rate and package it with their rooms so we can charge the sales tax. And occupancy tax to it. That would help.
Well, that would take somebody setting up a business.
Yeah, they can
and
try.
had
They
all
tried
the
to. They wouldn't
stuff.
give it. They own the politicians, and they got the permits and stuff. So Ronnie Hedrick couldn't even get a permit down there, and he owned the business
No,
on
but
the river.
like for instance, I think you're missing, who was it that was in the other day? Doug Mortimer is now working with Wildwater, and he has got a setup that he gets a discounted river raft rate from them, and he packages it with his room.
That's a
He
good deal.
charges the sales tax and the occupancy tax because it's paired with the lodging. So we get the taxes here, he pays them, you know, to the state and to Becky at the county offices, versus, you know, our guests, we're sending them down there. Instead, we've got to learn to package it with our rooms. And so he is probably, I know Fontana's done that too before, but we haven't really taught our lodging partners how to package, and that's going to be another thing that we've got to hopefully attack this fall and winter and get some of those relationships made so we can charge those extra taxes and occupancy funds that'll stay here.
And there are destinations that have done things like speed dating between lodging partners and attractions, and get them to
Meet and greets.
meet and greets, basically,
Yeah.
to get them to work through, you know, how can we make this work logistically? And I've seen that happen in other places.
Here's what the problem is. It would shut the Nantahala River down if they did this river. This lake's a lot bigger than Nantahala Lake. We could do the rafting every day over here, just like they did. They control it over there. That's why they got control of this one over here. They're just making it, using it when they want to. If we had local control was over this lake and this rafting and stuff, it would shut down Nantahala Outdoor Center in a month for the summer.
You know, another big problem we got with the town of Robbinsville is we're trying to grow off the outside edges. The dragging people coming in, they really don't make it into downtown. I mean, they don't. They come to Swain County over there at the Dragon. They go down to the Boca Lodge and then turn around and go back. 62% of the traffic come across the bridge down there in a 2-month period. Turn back. It didn't go on up the river, you know. So it's a lot coming that far, but we got to get something in town to bring them on in from every direction. Sticko Valley Center's got a good thing going, but a lot of people from Bryson City will make it to Sticko Valley Center. They don't come on this way, you know. And a lot of people coming from Topton that way bypasses down the Nantahala Gorge. So something in the middle of town's got to grow. Something's got to get them coming all the way through. That's why that's how you lose a lot of your money. You know, it's not making it here. Something has got to bust in the seat of your county. I mean, right in the middle of your county, something has got to grow. I think we can get people going through, all the way through, from every direction. We can see it grow. But until we do that, it's going to be tough.
They're doing a pretty good job going through now. It just ain't spending no money.
Well, what we lose 70% at Topton, they go down the Nantahala Gorge. 70% of the traffic that comes out of Cherokee County goes down the Nantahala Gorge. It's on all DOT websites got the road counts on. Which we do have 4 good months. We have a lot of traffic, but you know the rest of the time it's not making it all the way in to the heart of Graham County. And that's what's got to grow right here.
I do have a lot of people too that they're kind of disappointed when they get over here that they know they've been told. I had a call yesterday. We want to come over to the Snowbird area and look at the Indian stuff and shop, and I'm thinking, besides one artisan crafter, hunting boy, we don't have that destination experience here at all. There's not anything of a pull, and the poor Junaluska, you know, what we did have, the trees fell on top of the house, and now that's kind of out of sorts. You can still go see the memorial and the trail, but people really want to see the exhibits. So it would be nice if there was more of a destination experience here to showcase and share some of that, the Indian culture. I mean, we have the old school here. You know, this is where the Trail of Tears started. You know, some sort of a cohesive experience over this way instead of just in Cherokee. It would be nice.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I suggested, you know, that the visitor center could perform a number of different duties, and there might be funding opportunity there from the Reservation Foundation for contributing to something like that.
Okay, it's another partner for the visitor center.
I think to Bobby's point too, Chris talked a little bit about the itineraries, and it's like the Artisan Drive About. That's just a printed itinerary for people to go from stop to stop. But if you put things like that together, if it is around trout fishing or historical buildings, you can move people around the county.
Yeah, we got to move.
Show them where to go, incentivize them to go there. Tell them that there's something.
And it starts
to do.
digitally. You know, it's not an easy county to visit because one, until you pass the sign, only when you pass the sign that says Graham County do you know you're in the county. There's nothing that fundamentally changes.
Right.
And 2, it's very spread out, and so much of it does start with the digital presence in terms of making sure you're guiding people in the way and digitally holding their hands, if you will,
Right.
in terms of how to visit.
Well, we've got a decent project started. I think we're doing it's going to be an outdoor amphitheater, which is going to have several other businesses with it. But we're looking at putting a small visitor center in it that people could run a guide service out of. If we can get them to it, you know, we could recommend them. Hey, Rick Davis can take you trout fishing, this your guy, you know, or whoever. And it'll be a free way of running a business. We're just going to have, you know, spaces in set up too. You know, the big challenge is what we're hearing is getting people on through, getting them to come on up, and so there'll be some heads put together to attract the crowd.
And somebody asked the question this morning in presenting to Lake Santilla Council. You know, what can you do to get more people? And there's not any one thing. It's going to require a lot of different, whether it's regular events, visitor center serve as a hub activity, doing other things with the visitor center,
PR,
new businesses, PR, you know, signature festival event. It's going to require a lot of different things. Those micro enterprise grants that I talked about. It's just going to require a lot of different tools in order to make that happen.
Or $1 Dollywood in the middle.
you don't want that.
The
Now, if you have
farmers,
some connections.
And you know, the thing is, we're getting those numbers. Our road counts are astronomical right now. We're running 8 to 12 million people in a 4.5 month period using the road. Getting them to stop and stay and just to slow down and look is what we've got to work on. And making it all the way through. When they come this way, they need to go to Steekoil for some reason, to Steekoil Valley Center. They need to go to Snowbird for some reason. You know, but our hub, we need a hub, a central place to point people. And this is where you can get it. You know, that's what we're going to have to really promote. And getting people driving the whole county, not the outskirts or the edges. They might ride up Sweetwater and see gourds on the side of the road for sale in somebody's yard, you know, and drop a buck.
The itineraries will help, because it's a no-brainer. I don't have to research anything, put it in their hand, go get them, kind of a thing. And I'd say we have like 6 itineraries down there right now, and there's 6 others sitting in the computer that are not finished. The weekend one, the believe it or not, brews and wine tour, because people want to see that, and we're sending them out of the county, but this is what they want to see. We got to address the visitor. I know it's going to send them out every so often. A rainy days itinerary, because you know, when you get blessed with rain, you better give them something to do, and people are very thankful when they pick that up. It gives them ideas of, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. And we also have that history tour that I already shared with you guys. And antique shopping. People come here, their husbands are riding, but they want to shop. We don't really have any antique stores except for the new one down at Lake Santilla. But I do list all of our shopping experiences, and then I list the antique stores in the surrounding areas, because if they want to do it, you better help them have a best regional experience. And then there's one other one, and I can't seem to think of it, but yeah.
Waterfalls? Is it waterfalls?
No, we got a waterfalls brochure. But for most people, it's kind of like even with exercise. Most everybody is so out of shape, they can only do the beginning exercise. It's the same kind of thing. There's so many people that just aren't fit enough to do the trails that we have available here. So the beginning itinerary for that is the Yellow Creek Falls and the Cascades at 20 Mile Ranger Station. So you have to definitely send everybody to at least there when they talk about waterfalls, because most of the other ones are a 3 mile to a 12 mile turnaround to go see it.
but when I've been doing itineraries anyway, I haven't been thinking about where can they spend their money so much. I've just been thinking about things they could do. So maybe when we do itineraries, maybe we should think about, okay, and along the way you can stop and get ice cream at Fontana.
Definitely have
Or,
to do that. Banana split at the
yeah,
hub,
something.
or buy a t-shirt or a
Yeah.
gift at Stokoe Valley. Or,
We need to do better
Taste
when we
of
do
honey
those.
worm.
yeah.
Yeah. What?
Get a taste of honey. At
That's
work.
it really.
I tell people that it's not a wine tasting, it's a honey tasting. They get excited, that's where they're going next. 'Cause that's a neat experience.
Having just come into the lodging business, I would say that it's because I was meeting with somebody this week about doing some packages, and like, okay, what would interest a visitor, and how do we put this together? How many people? What are we going to include? I mean, it was really kind of, and I know what's here, and it was complicated for me to think about. So we got to help everybody, I think, to come up with some good ideas about what would work and what would make a good experience for the visitor.
Because there's tons of them. People come in every day talking about what a great time they've had and they can't wait to come back. But now, just so you guys will know, my sign-in at the visitor center has now changed. You get to the end, and instead of just capturing the email address, the question before it is, when you return from vacation, would you mind filling out a survey to give us your feedback about our destination? And this is where I'm going to be asking Chris to take a look at my survey, and Beth and a few people that have done some of these, and get that feedback from the guests of, you know, did you use an itinerary? Was it easy? Where did, you know, tell me what you did on day 1. Tell me what you did on day 2, because they'll tell us how they packaged it themselves. Or, you know, we wanted to do this and this. We wish we would have known they were together. We're going to get a lot of good feedback, but, you know, it's going to take visitors coming in, sharing their email. I've only, out of this past week, there's only been 2 people that said no. So the other great thing is that we're going to be able to get a lot of that good feedback, at least the people that have come to the visitor center.
And I think the other good thing, the good news from all these studies is that people come back. I mean, if they come here, they come back. We have the greatest return rate of anybody around, I think. So, except maybe the casino. But anyway, we do have a good return rate, so we can build on that too.
Well, there are going to be a lot of visitors coming to see the new casino in Murphy. Why don't we put up some signs? They're coming in, they can see the signs. Why don't we invite them to Graham County?
Well, and also I think with that casino, Jackie, I think that if you're a manager over there or a lead person, why in the world would you want to live over there? Get away from your work and come live over here, where it's quiet and away. And when you're away, you're away. You can go fish and hike and, you know, go on the lakes and ride your boat. And I think we have a good opportunity to get some higher professional type folks to move in our county, bring their kids, and make an impact in our community as well.
Any more questions? Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I know that probably y'all are going to be continuing this meeting, so
We are.
I would certainly hope that you would consider the endorsement of this particular plan. Santee endorsed the plan this morning, and we're going to be going to Montana later on this afternoon. So thank you for the time.
Graham County did adopt the plan this past Thursday at the conclusion of our Travel and Tourism Board meeting.
And I'll just give you an update on some implementation activity that's already going on. Through GREAT, we have $7,500 to funding in hand to start implementing the plan. But there's also an opportunity through ARC for another $20,000, and that will have to go through the regular ARC process. So it'll be through the state and then through the federal government approval. So it'll be a while before those funds are secured, and that application is due next week. So we are going to be seeking we'll be seeking grant funds for implementation, and those will also require some matching funds per the ARC guidelines.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll move our equipment here out of the way
I'll just
and
move all the stuff back there.
continue with the